My name is Bill, and this is a first in the series of Autocad tutorials, and it will start right at the start and go right through until you can do 2D and 3D drawings. First of all, that's what you get, and this is Autocad 2016. You want to start a drawing, but down here you have this little button marked templates. Templates. So the best one probably is Tutorial M for Metric Manufacturing. This is a metric tutorial. Okay. One day I might do an imperial one, but we'll see how we go. So you choose that, and you get this coming up at you. This is and if you can see there right away, what I've done there is I've pressed and held my mouse button in the middle mouse, the rolling wheel button, and then dragged it around the place. And while we're here, we might as well do the view. So if I put my cursor down there and roll the mouse button in, then you can see, and then roll it back out, you can see that that's your zooming. Say for instance I want to look up here, put cursor up here, right on where you want to look at, and it'll zoom in on there. Notice if you put it over here, it won't show you anything. You've got to put your cursor where it's going to do the most use. Okay, now what this means is that we have here a title block, and it is in an area called paper space. So don't worry too much about paper space and model space just yet, but you have to know that there are two spaces to work in. These are working spaces, and that this little triangle tells you that you are in paper space. Paper space is where you put your title block, it's where you put your dimensions and any notes and so on. There is a school of thought that you should put it in model space, and that has some validity, but just to keep life simple, it's best to keep it out over here in paper space. Okay, now you'll see a blue line there. If I click on that and I right click there, down the bottom we have properties, and this properties button, if it flicks out like that, just click it there so it stays out. This is a properties toolbar, palette, or whatever you call it, and it'll tell you things like that's a viewport. It'll tell you all sorts of information about what it is, where it is, and where it's this and whether it's that, and so on. So that's a very handy thing to have, and you can drag and click it over onto there, and now it's locked onto the side of there, so you can unlock it or minimize it like that. Okay, so that's paper space. Now we're going, and down here we'll see a tab. That's called a tab, and it shows you preview of what's in that thing there, on that paper space. So now if we choose model, we get this rather grey sort of an area space there. This is the first. I want to make just two small changes to AutoCAD, which you don't have to make. You can leave it just plain as it comes out of the box if you want. It's got to do with when you draw something. If you draw a line, if I go L for line and draw a line, you can see it fine, and it's okay. But if that line was, say for instance, made to have the colour yellow, which is not to be recommended by the way, but you can actually do it. You can change the colour of that line. You can change the colour to say yellow. Then it becomes harder to see against a lighter background. So click on there, delete that. You press the delete key. So the first thing we're going to do is change the background colors. So Tools, Options. Oh, by the way, before I do that, when the AutoCAD ships, sometimes they have that like that. So you're going to go, whoa, Tools, where's my tools? They're not there. So it's this little hidey button up the top there that's doing all the mischief. So we can show the menu bar. There's our menu bar. That's all the commands in AutoCAD, like open a file and edit, and all those ones and so on and so forth. One we're interested in is under Tools, and it's Options. And we're interested in the Display tab and the colors. So we have here 2D model space, which is what that little funny little icon down there says it says. That's the model space icon. And we're going to make that black. And while we're here, we'll go to Sheet Layout, which is the layout one, and we're going to make that from white, we're going to make that to black. And the reason for all this is, as I said, that in the olden days, yellow was the nicest colour you could see against black, so everybody used to make that their normal colour. And then later stage, architects got in the action and said, oh no, this must be white, and then so the white and the yellow never mixed together very nice. So apply and close, and that's all we need to worry about on there. Now we need to put some toolbars, AutoCAD toolbars, and if I choose one like View, there it is. It just sort of pops up, and these are very handy if you can't be bothered learning the command for this particular thing. So say for instance, yes, you want to use that, you can drag it over there and just drop it onto the side of your screen there like that. I think I'll close that Properties toolbar at the moment. So once you've got that in your drawing, in your workspace, you can right click on that and choose a whole lot of other things. And I'd suggest dimension, inquiry, and layers, and there's a whole lot in here that you don't need. And you come down and orbit. Yeah, that's quite nice. And render, smooth mesh, standard. Standard is just the normal commands you use. And UCS, well, I've got UCS2, which I had from a previous thing, so that should have been ticked as well. And any more down here? Visual styles, yeah. And that's all you need, really. You don't need any more than that. Take that over there a bit. So then you can arrange these however you like them. It's just purely up to yourself where you're going to put all this stuff. Maybe up here. This dimension one, I quite like it up over here. And that one there a bit further that way, and then the standard one can go in up here. It should be going up. No, it's not locking into the top of the screen. There we go. So you might have to do a little fiddling around there. Layers, I like to have that in the middle because you just naturally look up and see that where your layers are. And this guy here, I quite like to have down here, and that one there. Yeah, squeeze this one in to there. Okay, so we've got all our commands and all the commands that you normally use. we'll do it for instance now. Up here we've got the save button. So if we press save, it says, oh, save your drawing. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to navigate through back up to where you should go, which is, you should have a Windows C drive, and you should have a directory called CAD, and then you save it under something sensible. I've probably gotten a bit out of hand here, but I've created a directory called Autocad Tutorials. Now once we've got that, we could go Tools, Add Current Folder to Places. So there's Bill's CAD, and that's not the current folder. This current folder, we can add that current folder to Places. So if we ever want to get back there quickly, we can do that. So we can call this Tutorial 1. And it's saving it as AutoCAD 2010. I've got that set lower than it probably needs to be, because you can go higher up to 2013 drawings, but that's another little wrinkle we'll cover sometime soon. Okay, save. So I've saved that drawing, and you can tell up the top there it says tutorial1.drawing, so it's saved. So now we'll try drawing a footplate, which is just a rectangle. So rectangle, and it really doesn't matter where that you start putting your first corner point, because it says specify first corner point. You have to keep looking down at this command line. I normally wouldn't bother with any of those other things, because it's giving the option of doing other things there. We'll cover all this sort of stuff in a later date. So pick a point. Now we want to make this rectangle 150 long and 80 millimeters wide. So how we do this is we use relative coordinates. So relative coordinates is always using @ sign. See the little @ sign up there, and we type in 150, put a comma, and then 80. And see our dynamic input has gone bing and bing in there, and down at the bottom corner, it's at the bottom here, it says specify the corner point, which we just done, so we hit enter. There's our rectangle. Let's just check that we've made it 150 long. And the answer is yes, it is 150 long. And what about that way? If we hit enter, just to get rid of that last little bit. Okay, 80. So that's correct. So how do we get out of a command that we're in and we want to get out of it? The answer is press escape. So see up here, this is a little bit of history going on here. Move this guy out a little bit. And before we get too excited and carried away, what we'll do is at the moment up to here we've got drafting and annotation as our workspace. So we can save our workspace, save the current workspace as, I'll save it as tutorial. And that means that if things all go pear-shaped at any stage and I lose all my ribbons and toolbars and stuff like that, I can always come back and get that tutorial workspace just up and running very quickly. So we now are going to draw a hole in the footplate, and pick a point, pick a circle I should say, and the center point will be, we'll put it on the edge of the footplate, so it's always there, and it's going to be an 18mm hole, because that's for a 16mm footplate. So key in, it's asking for the radius, and we hit enter. So that's going to be continued in the next session.